I'm going to let you set this up, man. So you were at the owner meeting, and you had the opportunity to talk to Jimmy Haslam, and you said to me this morning that, you know, some things that he said about Deshaun Watson was taken out of context, and I know you well enough to know when you're more bothered than not. This was something that really rubbed you the wrong way. Go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this conversation kind of stems from the one we just had where it's like Dylan Gabriel is kind of the punching bag of the quarterback room because he's the one nobody really wants around or whatever. And I think the same thing kind of applies to Jimmy, where it's like people think Jimmy Haslam is just a goofball running a football team and he's learned nothing along the way. And and so everything he says is polarizing and everyone tries to read into everything he says. And I think sometimes it gets taken a certain direction because they just apply it to the history since he's owned the team and how bad the team's been most of the time and the losing and all these things. But like when Jimmy, and I think we have this audio, by the way, too, of him talking about it. When Jimmy was asked about Deshaun Watson, yes, he presented the idea that he could be the starting quarterback this year. But I don't think Jimmy Haslam was like misguided or overzealous at all about how he was trying to sell Deshaun as an option as the starting quarterback for this team. There was for every quote that was like, he has a great chance to start or to win the job. And how he called it a fresh start for him, which in a lot of respects is true. He's got a new coach who has a different perspective on things. It is kind of like a last hurrah for him to see, is there anything left that we can salvage here? For those quotes, there was also, he used the term cautiously optimistic. And I asked him specifically if he could see a world where he's getting a contract extension at the end of the season, and he said it's way too premature for that. Let's see what he does on the field. So, and we'll play you the quote here in a second.
And this is what he told you?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll play this here in a second. But my perspective, the perception versus reality were way different on his quotes, because I think a lot of people took and ran with like the fresh start thing and he has a great chance to start thing, and they missed sort of the middle portion where it was like, no, I think Jimmy Haslam presented a very mild-mannered perspective and take on how they feel about Deshaun right now. And it's honestly the perspective that everybody who follows this team should have. Cautious optimism is a good approach, I think, to take to Deshaun Watson this year. Most of us think there's probably not anything left on that. There's probably not a lot of meat left on that bone in terms of what he can be. But Todd Monken's talked about it. Like at one point, he was a top 5 quarterback in football. So maybe Todd Monken can be the guy to find that. We'll see. Here's the exact quote, and I think people will take this differently than what they initially took it when they saw the quotes.
It's not for lack of effort, okay? I mean, I don't think anybody in our organization would question his effort, his toughness, everything he's put in the job. The reality is he's had major injuries, right? He broke his shoulder, tore his Achilles tendon twice, so he's been really ravaged by injuries, and that, along with the 11-game suspension, have kept him from playing. Now, Deshaun has a great chance, fresh start, offensive-minded coach who has, in his past, been able to work with all kinds of different quarterbacks and make them successful. So Deshaun has a great chance to do that now. We talked to him the other day. He said he weighed the least he had in several years, was in great shape. He'll be here on April 7th when we start, and let's see what Deshaun can do. We're all excited.
So there was no that wasn't the quote where he said cautiously optimistic.
Right.
But that was another separate quote that he had. And I think those, like, you have to listen to all of it. And I understand this wasn't like a video recorded one, like interview, so nobody saw all that, and there was only so many people there. But I just think it's important to realize like the full context of what he said. Because
we were told that he can go from a swing and miss to a home run. Is that not correct?
That's what I know.
That was the quote that was floated around that Jimmy had said.
That was out there, and I know people talked about that and ran with it.
But he never said those words. He never flat
out said he's going to go from a swing and a miss to a home run. And I think that's the important thing for people to remember. Right. He had a very normal perspective on how this could go.
So we got a couple minutes left in this segment. But 2 weeks ago, like, bro, in all seriousness, do you kind of understand where I be coming from now to where I say, like, we got to be very careful what we say on these airwaves, and sometimes, like, I feel like that we be either pushing the narrative or we're trying to excite some type of emotional like rage inside this fan base for absolutely no reason. Because whomever put that quote out, if they were there present with you and they heard Jimmy speak, then why in the hell would you take that route? Like, and I'm asking you, and maybe you don't know the answer to that, but that's what pisses me off.
But...
And it clearly pissed you off too, because it's bad enough. And we try to do whatever we can to keep emotions as tempered as we possibly can. And it's a whole lot of stuff to beat Jimmy Haslam up for. But everybody in the city of Cleveland was mind blown when we saw that quote and was like, man, here we go again. Jimmy saying this, Jimmy saying that. And to come to find out, he never even said those words out his mouth.
Yeah, again, you're 100% right. As far as being an owner of this football team goes, I get there's a lot to criticize Jimmy Haslam for, but I have to be fair. Like, as somebody who covers the team, I have to be fair to the things that he says. I don't think anything he said was like inflammatory or hyperbolic about Deshaun Watson. It felt like he had a normal approach to the situation, which is, honestly, I walked away feeling like the swing and a miss comments, he probably still felt that way, where it's like, we don't necessarily think that anything's there, but we're willing to see what happens with a new coach, with a fresh start, all these things, so we're cautiously optimistic. I think that's the right approach that everybody should be taking to Deshaun watson, and I honestly think that sets to me, it was just more context to, they really are treating this like an open competition. They're going to see who wins the job. Tom Munkin talked about that as well. He wasn't ready to say Deshaun or Shedeur's the starter yet, like, because he's waiting. So I just think people took it and ran with it, and I thought it was unfair to Jimmy Haslam for that to be the way that it was perceived.
Hey, man, great insight by you. I'm glad that you enjoyed the owners' meetings. I'm glad that you enjoyed the city of Arizona and all the good food. You came back with a tan and with some information. So mission accomplished by you.